Alright guys, this looks pretty good. Take it up.
Chicken Run, Poultry in Real Motion. This adventure comedy film is Aardman's first animated feature. So why did I spend all this time talking about The Curse of the Were-Rabbit first? I don't know. Chicken Run was first conceived in 1995 by Peter Lord and Nick Park, starting as a spoof on the 1963 film The Great Escape. Pathé agreed to finance the film in 1996, putting their finances into script development and model design, with Dreamers officially coming on board in 1997. Principal photography began in January 1998. During production, 30 sets were used, with 80 animators working along with 180 people working overall. The result was 1 minute of film completed for each week of filming, and production wrapped up on June 1999. And with that, the movie flew all the way to theaters on June 23, 2000 in the US and June 30th in the UK, and it became a phenomenon. It was a critical and commercial success, grossing over $200 million, and became the highest grossing stop-motion animated film in history. At the time, Chicken Run was DreamWorks' most successful release, but then Shrek came along and y'all should already know what happens next. Now, I've brought this up before, but Chicken Run is obviously one of my favorite animated films of all time, but it also left me some trauma, which I'll get into that later. And since I've somewhat talked about the sequel, Dawn of the Nugget, I might as well go back to the first one, and let's just say I've learned something. The movie follows the story of a group of British anthropomorphic chickens who sees an American rooster named Rocky Rose as their only hope to escape their farm when their owners wants to turn them into chicken pies. Now this is how you do a movie all about chickens. It ain't too violent, but it ain't all cupcakes and rainbows either. And considering that Aardman took notes from The Great Escape, this actually works. It may come off as an innocent family film, when in reality, the movie's actually political, and all this time I've never noticed it, mostly because politics isn't really my cup of tea, so I decided to do some research. And oh boy, this is where things starts to get interesting. So apparently, the movie is an allegory for a Marxist, or in other words, a communist revolution. Mrs. Tweedy is an epitome of capitalist greed, and her plan represents a capitalist exploitation, a transition from a feudalism egg farm to industrial pie farm, while the chickens are the proletariat. Heck, some of the dialogue has a message in them.
So laying eggs all your life and then getting plucked, stuffed and roasted is good enough for you, is it? You know what the problem is? The fences aren't just round the farm, they're up here, in your heads. There's a better place out there. Somewhere beyond that hill and well, it has wide open spaces and lots of trees. We feed ourselves. There is no farm. Don't you get it? There's no morning egg count, no farmers, no dogs and coops and keys, and no fences.
In other words, the chickens can either comply with the capitalist system, or they can take a risk and move towards a self-governing communal freedom. But even with all of this research, I still see this as an average animated film. What can I say? Some people has a different perspective on certain things. Alright, so I'm gonna keep this topic pretty short because I don't think there's really much that needs to be said. Obviously, the animation in this movie is pretty good, an improvement from, well, Wallace and Gromit: A Close Shave in 1995. And considering that this is the first Aardman film that I was introduced to, and this is where things starts to get personal, it kinda came off as uncanny at first. The moment I saw the animation style for the first time, it honestly scared me, and that mostly came from the overall design of the anthropomorphic chickens. Because all my life, I was pretty much used to how chickens were supposed to look like in animated films, but now that the chickens look like this, it kinda came off as bizarre. Especially when they look towards the camera. It honestly freaked me out when I was a kid. But all that is in the past now, and I can finally appreciate the animation for what it is. Though now that I think about it, there is actually an animated film by Aardman that I saw first, and that was Flushed Away, and I was a lot more comfortable with the animation in that one when I was a kid. But even then, Chicken Run still freaked me out, so most of the time, I would just avoid it. But that was till I saw the Wallace and Gromit shorts, and I got very comfortable with the animation style overall. Because of this, I decided to finally watch Chicken Run for the first time, and that was the moment I fell in love with it. It was a fun time and it's still fun to this day, even though it's political, but at this point, I don't care. And again, I don't see this as a political film, I just see it as an average animated film about chickens escaping the farm. That's it. So yeah, overall, Chicken Run is a great movie. Even though it's noted for the depiction of feminism, revolution, Marxism, veganism, and fascism. But again, I don't care. Well, that was fun. I guess the fact that a kids movie was that political is honestly kind of crazy. I mean, there's Animal Farm, but that's a movie for another day. Anyway, for the past 2 weeks, I've been taking a break from 3D animation to get back to drawing. And these are one of these drawings I've made. And I'm not gonna lie, I've actually outdid myself. And the crazy part is, it's been so many years since I've drawn anything. But for now, I gotta get ready for the holidays, cause I'm gonna push myself to the very end.